Hey folks, Karshel here. Welcome back. If you remember from our last episode, we had just gathered together all of the materials necessary to build our base computer and was thinking about what kind of area I wanted to do that in. Jumped up to take a screenshot of what was in the immediate area and wasn't necessarily impressed with that. So I've decided to go and do a little bit more looking around. Um, what I would ideally want to find is a base location that has a galactic trade terminal very close by, so that if I so chose, I could go out and do a farming run, fill my bags up with various minerals or whatever, and just hop over the corner and sell it, which would enable me to have a little bit of a positive cash flow, even if I'm out just screwing around and base building rather than doing the active exploring, which I tend to prefer to do. Another aspect that would be nice is if I can find a building that has the trade terminal but also has a landing pad. I would also be having traders coming in regularly to that facility where I might be able to buy items I can't mine easily, or possibly even a additional ship upgrade. This starter ship is sufficient, and it's not, too terribly ugly, but it's not what I would prefer to have. So I'm going to be looking for upgrades. That's one of the things that I'm doing now when I'm flying around. I have been told, and I can't verify it, that if you press the 1 key while you are flying around, that will actually target wrecks. What it does is target the nearest spaceship. Now, I've been told that it will target wrecks. I don't know that that is accurate or not. I have not actually done it. Now, as you can see, flying around in third person here, it gives you a really good view of the terrain around you. You know, I kind of like this raised elevation thing there. That might be a very interesting base for later down the road. Right now, it's not going to fit what I'm wanting for. But the problem that I have with the third person view is I cannot see my radar screen on the HUD. I have also been told that crashed ships will show up on the radar screen. And flying around this way, even though I prefer the view, I guess prefer is the accurate word at this point, I can't see the HUD. So it's kind of a give and take on that one. I know at the moment this is kind of a non-exciting segment, but I really like the way this planet looks. And at the moment, all I'm doing is looking for a site that calls to me and says, hey, check this. This might be the area that you want to build. Additionally, I am also looking for transmission towers, which are a building that is able to actually track distress signals, which can be either from crashed ships or crashed freighters. But if I find one, it would be a big step toward upgrading my ship. And as I mentioned at the start of this, while the ship is okay, I definitely would prefer to have something just a little bit more robust. If I get really lucky, I will end up finding a high-quality fighter, which would give me some good survivability out in space. Overall, I don't worry too much about what I find out there, but every now and then you get into a little bit of a furball that can make a big difference. And speak of the devil, this is what a transmission tower kind of looks like. It's a little different for each race, but they're pretty distinctive. So it's like, okay, I will land here at the landing circle, which will require no fuel to take off again, and jump in and go check out the building. Now, in order to make use of these, They present you with a mathematical puzzle, and you have to solve that correctly in order for the transmission tower to actually function and show you where the crash site or wreck site is. It's not always on the same planet that you're on. That kind of irritates me when that happens, but hopefully this one we will get lucky. I won't do a spoiler on the puzzle. You're going to have to figure that one out yourself. But you'll also be able to use the information of what I put in as the correct answer to do so. There is quite a few different ones that you can use, but I don't know if Next has changed that or not. After a while, you do get used to it, and you can look at it and say, okay, this is the answer. Okay, so I've got a ship in that direction about 3 hours out. That speed is on foot, because currently I am not sitting in a vehicle. When you are near a building site and it's got these smaller habitat type buildings, always check them as well. As you can see, I've got no nanites up there, and you can pick up nanites from inside these buildings on these wall mountings. It's not much, 10 nanites, but it's 10 nanites, and those are a type of currency. Frequently, when you do the research specimen thingies, it gives you faction with the race that owns this system. I don't know why that one did not. Maybe because at this point I haven't really gotten anywhere and gotten up to a spaceship or a space station and done any of that kind of thing. Also, you want to try to use the universal language terminals or encyclopedia terminals and things that you see. When you start out, you know nothing as far as language to communicate with the various races. And there are times they give you a dialogue which says basically, hey, I really need this particular thing. And if you don't know what they're saying, you have to guess. And guessing correctly, hey, that can reward you faction, it can reward you additional language, it can reward you items. Guessing incorrectly, you could get nothing for it. In some cases, you could actually lose faction for having the wrong answer. So learning the language is very important. And we're heading toward that crashed ship. Well, hopefully, the distress signal. Now, as you can see, at ship speed at this point, it's only 8 minutes out, just under. That's at this altitude and this speed. When you are dealing with space travel and you have to go somewhere, one of the easier ways to rush that is to pop up in the atmosphere. The thinner the air is, the less air resistance there is on your ship, the faster you can go. So just popping up into the lower space, I've cut that time down from 8 minutes to 30 seconds. Now, when you're up here, of course, there's always the potential of getting a hostile scan or getting jumped by something else. So it is not without risk, but you don't have to come up this far either. But the farther up you are, the faster you go. It can really make a big difference if you have a building scan or a rune or something that's on the other side of the planet. Sometimes the travel time will be hours if you stay in lower atmosphere. We'll pop into the HUD here to give you an example. You can see the speed there on the lower left. It is getting slower and slower as I'm getting closer to the planet itself. Now, I really hope that this is a ship and not a freighter. Freighters are great, I guess, for all the miscellaneous stuff that's around them. But at this point in time, my interest is a ship. And that looks like exactly what I've got. And it looks like it is a hauler, which is a cargo ship, and that would be great. That would make a lot of things easier. Let's check this out. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, that is a huge upgrade from the starter ship. Classes of ships are C, B, A, and S. C is your basic ship. That's what the starter ship is. That's what a lot of ships are that are relatively cheap. Um, a Class B ship has some upgrades, which is really, really nice. Now, if you notice, I'm disassembling some of my tech. That's so that I can take that material and pass it over to the other ship. You can't always do that, but if you're abandoning a ship, it's a really good idea to do that. Now, you see all these red items in the slots of the big ship? 44 slots, man. Unless it's changed with next, the maximum slots are 48. So that is going to serve me really, really well. It's got an upgrade. It's got a ship teleporter, so you can teleport things to it. It's got an upgraded engine. All of these red slots are going to require repair before they are usable, and that's going to take some serious effort. But compared to a little 15 slot Class C, this is a major upgrade. Not at all what I was expecting to find. Now, new with Next, I could choose either to buy the ship outright or exchange it for what I have. I have read comments that the whole buying the ship thing is bugged right now. Maybe if you already have a freighter so that you could summon it there, then buying it would work. I do not, and at this point I don't want to keep the other ship, so I'm just going to do an exchange. If you are nostalgic for your old ship or something, or like maybe if it's a really nice fighter or has a skin that you like, then I can see keeping it, but that's not the case with me at this point. Okay, well, now that we have a new ship that was crashed, the next step is going to be making it flight worthy. Now, in a way, we have gone through this before with the starter ship, but this ship is a little bit different. It's not going to make a huge bit of difference. Got to immortalize the moment with the screenshot. Our first ship upgrade in the Permadeath run. Too often I don't think about taking those. So let's take a look at exactly what we have to repair in order to get this up and running. Look at the tech. Again, that teleporter is so good. The additional drive is going to give us the ability to pop to other systems we couldn't get to. The base engines and shields are going to be the most important things. The photon cannon, unless you're actually planning on fighting somebody, and at this point I'm not, I'm more in the mood to run, is not as important. But you cannot take off without the pulse engine and the launch thruster. So those are going to be 1 and 2. Shield is also very important to me, just to give me a little bit more survivability if something does jump me. And as I said, the photon cannon is kind of optional for me at this point. Eventually it will become mandatory, but for getting off the ground, that's not going to be a huge deal. So we'll set up a refiner so that we can make some of the higher elements. Now we're going to need both chromatic metal and some sodium nitrate and pure ferrite. So it's like, okay, what do we want to start with? I believe, if I remember correctly, I need 50 of the chromatic metal. I've only got 40, so luckily I've got the copper on me. I think we'll start with that. And always got to fuel the refiner. And we'll let that go. Okay, I need 10 more of the chromatic metal for that. And that's the only place where I'm needing it at the moment. Pure ferrite's not going to be too bad. Okay, and I've got plenty of that now. Actually refined pretty fast. Now I'm going to speed through the repair here because basically we covered that with the initial starting ship, and there's nothing that you cannot figure it out. I'm going to have to refine a couple of different materials. Going to have to mine some ferrite dust. And then I should be pretty good. Once we get the sodium refined and the ferrite refined, we should be able to get everything up and running with no problems. So I will jump back in at that point. Okay, we just finished our last bit of refining, and now we will jump in the ship and complete the repair of the critical systems of the ship. I'm not going to worry about doing the photon cannon for now, because at this point, before we started all this, I was simply staying on the planet and doing a scan for a decent base location. And we're going to jump back into that. But for now, here we go. Our new ship upgrade, a 44 slot Class B hauler, which is a major upgrade. I appreciate you joining me for this trip. I will hope that I will see you for the next one as well. Please feel free to comment, like, share, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next trip. Karshel out.